What's going on, guys? Back today with another video. Playing a different game, obviously, because this one will just let me record while I'm actually playing. And today I actually want to talk about a manga that I finished recently that, oh my god, it was outstanding. And the manga I'm going to be talking about today is Fire Force. Now, I was watching this show since it got announced. It was announced when I was like a freshman in high school, and I was obviously watching it weekly, and it was amazing. Now, what is what is Fire Force? What is it about? Well, it's basically a story about this kid named Shinra, and he wants to become a fire soldier, which is one of the main groups of the manga. And what the fire soldiers do, obviously, they extinguish what they call infernos, who can spontaneously combust at any time. And their whole goal is mainly to what's it called? It's mainly to keep these guys out of harm's way of the public. They protect the public, and they kind of follow they're obviously kind of based with the religion, because they obviously say a prayer every time they get rid of the erythral. I'm thinking of Zenless of the infernal. And one of the main cruxes of the story is that a lot of the people believe that Shinra is a devil, because they believe the story that he was the reason that his mother had passed away in a fire that happened before the events of the story. And they obviously, people will spend most of the time looking at Shinra very differently. They every time he comes into action, they think of him like, what is this devil doing here? Like, why is he with us? But then once he joins this group, which is Company 8, which is our main cast of characters, you start to see him grow more and more as a character, develop more as certain things go on throughout the story. And it is honestly like, in terms of the anime, the fights in the anime they all look outstanding. And it was one of the main reasons that got me to actually read the manga, because I wanted to just see how good it actually was, since the manga is still ahead of the anime. But it's a new season of it is coming out, I think, sometime this year. I'm not too sure, but it is outstanding. Like, you see throughout the story, Shinra is progressively getting stronger and stronger, as most shonen go. And every time he gets stronger, it's usually through a court of whatever he's like overcoming. Because one of his main character traits, that anytime he's like really nervous about something, he'll have this somewhat evil smile on his face. It looks a lot of evil. It looks pretty evil, and that's why people continue calling him a devil, because of just how devilish his grin is. But as you continue throughout the story, and more stuff gets learned about the things that are going on throughout the universe, you start to see that this whole devil thing is kind of something that was made up to put him down. And one of the main arcs of season 2, where he's trying to find the truth behind what happened with his mother, is when he runs into his brother for the first time, who's following under this evil group called the Evangelists, which is pretty ironic. But he once he finds his brother for the first time, and they fight, and that fight in the manga, it is insane, but in the anime, oh my goodness, it looks it is so well done in the anime. It looks so good. It is so clean. Like Fire Force is one of those animes that the manga itself is like outstanding, but then when you see some of these fights like translated into the anime, it looks so good. And past that arc, once they finally find where his brother is, and they realize the plan of the evangelist is to try and recreate like the Great Cataclysm, which is an event that kind of like hard reset the world uh, a very long time ago. It's sort of like it's basically like an Armageddon, and they need to gather up like these pillars that are all having powers to bring back the Great Cataclysm. And as it continues on, we get introduced to more and more characters. We get introduced to more and more pillars, and like the main thing behind season 3 is that they're super close to finally finishing the Cataclysm, and then once they pull it off, like they continue to they continue to bring this idea that he's a demon, and in like the final arc, the main like one of the main ideas is that like one of the things we find out when Shinra finds his he finally gets his brother to realize what he's doing is actually like right and help him out. They see that like the enemy group tells us that we can't allow him to give hope to everyone else because he's essentially like the hero, and if he were to ever clear his name, that it would basically stop the evil plans of what's going on. Oh, we lost. And it is something that is super like one of the I think one of the main topics that the manga tackles is how we kind of have to like persevere through all of the stuff that goes on through our lives, and Shinra is like the shining example of that, because even through all of the things that they call like all the times that he was looked down upon, all the names that they called him, even when he's basically like at the end of the manga, like basically the savior of the world, he basically able to like reset the world, and like he's still smiling through it all. And one of the I think the greatest touches is that by the end of the manga, he's actually like he's pulling off like a genuine smile, not one that comes from him being like nervous or afraid. Like it's actually him being happy to be around all the people that like love him. It was so satisfying to actually see. It was so nice. And it I was really happy seeing the end of the manga and being able to see him even through all of this stuff become someone that the public was able to actually, stand behind and be happy about, that he wasn't the person that they thought they were, or he wasn't the person that they thought he was. And that was honestly really nice to see. And in terms of like the characters, like all the characters are they're so like lovable, they're fun, they're really interesting. There even though there's one character that like is they she her name is Tamaki. They always use her for like these really weird bits, and I thought they were like they were really weird, but it comes through like at the end, like they basically call her like she's like one of like the pillars of like society, not like the fire pillars, but like she's like one of the pillars of society that we need to be able to like embrace, like sexual themes and stuff like that. It's okay to have that sort of stuff going on. And I thought that was a really nice touch, especially because of all of like the crazy like some of the panels that she's in are honestly just ridiculous, and I obviously am not gonna show them on the screen, but like, dude, they are so weird. Like, there's one where they go into the Nether, which is the what they call the underground of the universe, where a lot of the secrets of like the old world were being hidden. And like, there's one scene where like she runs into Victor, which is like the scientist of the group. She runs into her, and dude, it is like, I think I was reading it while I was like on the toilet, and it was so like, it caught me so off guard. I thought it was so weird. I was like, there's no way this is an actual panel. But I this is one of those manga that, for like a like for a like mainly battle shonen manga, it was super super enjoyable, and a lot of the themes that are like discussed throughout the manga are like still prevalent even like today. Like, I one of the main themes throughout the manga is how like religion can like affect how the public can see things that go, like, it reflect like it can affect how the public like perceives things about society, because like the evil group, like the evangelists that I was talking about, they like, their one of their whole things is that they were able to use, or they were able to like manipulate how the history of the world was perceived, and it led to like a big like division between all of the different companies of the Fire Force, and how the Fire Force like ended up like, it made essentially like demonize Company 8 from the world and things, or like the rest of the, what's it called, from the rest of the Fire Force itself. And it is honestly crazy because it's very obvious how that occurs like IRL, and it was just crazy to see like being represented like this in the manga. And in terms of the characters, like, obviously, I really 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 love Shinra as a main character. He's like, obviously he's meant to be like a really lovable guy, someone that you're meant to see yourself in, but like the way he bounces out off of all the characters around him, like Arthur, which is one of his like best friend, he's like very shown to be like obviously kind of on the spectrum, but like a lot of the things that he says throughout the manga are like he'll look like weird to like the average person, and then there will be certain panels where he'll say something like super super scathing that gets Shinra to realize what he's doing is like valid. Like, he's very, even though he's like kind of out there with a lot of the stuff he says, like a lot of his powers mainly are based off of like his confidence. It it shows like he's able to still affect Shinra in a positive way, even though they've always kind of been like at odds with one another throughout the story. And it's really 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 nice to see how like there's a pep talk that he gives them at the very end, like near like the very end and like the final battle, that kind of reflects this sentiment of how we lost, of how he is able to go on and defeat like the how people really think of him and how people view him. And it's just, it's so so nice to see. It's so enjoyable. I love Arthur a lot. He's so funny. There are so many scenes of him just being a goofball with Shinra and other characters. It's really 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 funny to see. And another character that also helps Arthur, like not only get stronger but like kind of accept who he is a Vulcan. It's someone that they meet in the what arc is it? It's I think season 2, or like the arc where they're trying to find out more about the evangelist. And he is someone that like he's linked very well to the like main crux of the story, which is Amaterasu, which is what gives all of Tokyo power, and it's also one of like the original pillars of like the evangelists that are going after. And it like him like at first he's kind of like shut off to everyone else because of how his family was treated by people that were working within the fire force. And over time, like once they go into the nether, they become much closer, and he actually finally joins the fire force in company 8. And it's such a like a well done arc. And I love Vulcan a lot, just like how I love Arthur a lot. It's really nice to see how he grows as a character, him and all of his like family members, along with the rest of the gang. And like once they start introducing all of the other companies, like they incorporate a lot of the other companies into the story. It also shows great that the how great that the cast is, because I think the cast in this story is honestly elite. And um yeah, it's elite. Like a lot of the characters that they end up being introduced to through different like means of the story are they're extremely well done, and they are really enjoyable and fun to like see interact with Shinra and the rest of company 8. And I think I don't even know who I would say is my favorite character outside of Shinra. Actually, I would probably say that's tough actually. I'd probably like Benimaru, which is one of the is like the leader of company 2, and he's like the strongest in like the entire fire force. Like his story arc of him being the strongest, and in the final arc he basically has to like fight against his old man to prove that he's the strongest. uh, like not only against his old man but him himself, because one of the main things that they discover is that they have to deal with doppelgangers, which is basically exact copies of them that can infest the world like normal infernals. But like his fight against not only his old man but the doppelganger of himself really shows how it's like a perfectly handled example of how to be like the strongest in the series, like similar into a vein like Gojo, but I think low key he's handled a lot better than Gojo is. Not in the fact because he didn't die, but like in the fact that his I think his story is a lot more like convincing than Gojo's is, and it's a lot more what's the word? It's a lot more like charismatic, interesting, like along those lines. It's he is like he's just a very 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 good character. He's really really cool, and he's someone that I enjoyed a lot every single time he's on screen, because he's someone who's shown to be like they want you to think that he's like super nonchalant, not really caring, especially with how he acts whenever he's like with like company 6 or with other people that he's talking to. But the more you see him like act throughout the story, you realize that he cares very deeply about not only his city but the people around him, are just they mean everything to him, and he wants to show everyone that he is enough, like he is valid enough to carry the entire city on his back and the burden of being the leader of this city. It's just so like great to see, and it was so entertaining to read anytime that he was on the screen. And like there's so many like good parts about this manga. Not just the fact that the way it ends, it literally like perfectly sets, because one of the big things about this manga that makes it so great is that it's meant to serve as a prequel to Soul Eater, which I'm now obviously reading, which I've also seen the anime for, but I've heard that the manga ending is much different than the anime ending was, and I thought the anime ending was really, really weird. So I'm excited to see how it goes in the manga. But it really like because both of them are made by the exact same author, so it makes sense that one is a prequel to the other. And I'm really excited. It perfectly like sets the alley for what Soul Eater is gonna be, and I'm really excited to see how well that the events of Fire Force not only lead into Soul Eater, but how good how much better, I should say, Soul Eater um becomes as essentially a sequel to Fire Force. But with Fire Force itself, I think that it is I think that it is an outstanding manga that anyone should read. I think anyone should read and be able to find a lot of enjoyment from Fire Force. And because I think not only a lot of the themes throughout the manga, like how religion affects society, how you have to persevere even through people talking down on you, and being able to like fit in with your group of people and within society. I think that it is a very like well done manga in those aspects, and it's something that I would very, 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 very highly recommend that you read. Like even if you don't read it, I would like please watch the anime, because if you're someone that might not be as into reading manga as I am, the anime is just like this is one of the rare scenarios where I would actually recommend reading the manga even with the anime being available, or recommend watching the anime even though the manga is available. And I think it's better just for the sense that it's caught up and finished, because the anime does the manga so much justice. It looks amazing. Every single fight in the anime is done so well, and it is done extremely well, especially in like season 2 and season 3, where so many of the fights start to like scale up and how like crazy they are. It becomes so much more like enjoyable to watch, like how much grander the scales of the fight gets as Shinra's powers get stronger and the enemies that he's fighting also get stronger. It's just so well to see, and I like I said, highly, highly, highly recommend reading and or watching it. By the time the actual anime is caught up with the manga, I would honestly just say to watch the anime, because it is so well done. It is very faithful to the manga, and to the people who want to read the manga and wait on the anime, you will be just as excited as I am to see how some of the fights in the final arc of the anime translate into the or final arcs of the manga translate into the anime, because it looks, dude, some of those end fights are insane. Like the Arthur versus Dragon fight, not only is there so many like thematical there's so much like thematical significance behind those two fighting. The fight is just like absurd. Like they end up in space, like they're fighting in space, and like they when they fight, they look like two of the strongest characters in the series, which they are, and it is just so crazy. Like, oh my goodness, it is ridiculous how good that fight was. And I guess after like shilling the manga and anime to round out, I guess I probably should like give some of my favorite aspects as well as characters. Um in terms of characters, obviously like I said, Shinra, the main character, elite main character. I love him to death. That I love that guy. He is an outstanding main character. His arc is handled so well throughout the show and series. It's elite. Like I mentioned before, Maki is also another character that is handled very well with her story arc, and how at the beginning of the manga she seems like one of the more like it's like kind of like this one of the sillier characters, maybe it comes off as a bit weak, but once you continue to like once they get to like the nether, and from that point onwards, like the arc with her family and her family realizing that her being with the fire force instead of the military is something that she wants to do, and she has every single right to do it. Man, that was so peak to read. It was so enjoyable. And let's see, Captain Obi, elite character. Never ever mess with the one character of the team that does not have powers, because they are the leader of that team for a reason. Obi is a dog, bro. That I love that guy. He is an absolute dog. Um, and outside of like Company 8, like Hibana, amazing character. Besides like the obvious attraction, she's a great character. Um, Licked, I hated him at I didn't mean to discard that. I hated him at first because he seemed like he was someone who was trying to go against everything that the company was trying to do, but he is such a great character. Like obviously he's like the scientist of the group, and he's he's really funny because a lot of the things that he says, like because he's obviously meant to be this one of the smarter people of the group. He's so funny. He's so funny, man. And let's like obviously I mentioned Arthur earlier. He's someone that the manga like clearly shows is someone that's like on the spectrum, but he is also just a super funny character. And not only is he super funny, but he's someone that he can just tell you how it is, just like out of nowhere, like randomly. Like there will be moments where he'll just like randomly, I guess, lock in, and like it'll be like a shining like the characters might not know what they're doing, and then he'll just be like, "Yo, do this," and they'll be like, "Is he crazy?" But then they realize, wait, he was right. Like there's so many times when that happens, and it's so funny. But besides him being actually funny, he's like genuinely one of the strongest characters in not only Company 8 but the entire manga. He has so many cold moments. Like there's just too many to count on my hand. How many just cold moments that he has. Like, he's such a goat, and that would honestly do it probably. In terms of like the villains, I mean, Sho ends up becoming a hero by the end of the manga because he realizes the error of his ways and what his brother was actually trying to do. But Sho is another really good character, especially throughout like the latter half of the manga. He like you start to see him like figure out the truth and realize that Shinra was actually trying to save him the entire time, and that he was being brainwashed by the evangelists to do their bidding. That whole arc, when they finally meet up, the three of them, his mom, Shinra, and Sho, it is not only like super super heartwarming, but it is just it's peak, because the form that Shinra gets once they all meet up together, it, oh my god, it's so fire. Like, no pun intended, obviously, but it is so so fire. Um, but then other villains, I'd probably say is Sharon, which is someone that protects like one of the who ends up becoming like the main antagonist of the final arc. Like, he is also like really really funny, but he is so like crazy, because one of his main powers is that he's able to absorb hits and then just completely counter it with the, I think it's either the same or like twice the energy that gets put into the attack. Like, his first fight with Shinra at the end of season 2 is crazy. Like, Shinra finally realizing how his powers work and then being able to push him back. It's just, oh shoot, it's just insane. It's so so crazy. But that honestly is gonna do it for me. This has definitely a longer video, because I'm like kind of recording this off the top of my head, recording it with a completely different game and with a completely different way, because it's a voiceover of me like currently playing the game that uh I'm playing right now. But I this is a manga that I like really really enjoyed. I'm very happy that it was as good, if not better, than the anime. And like I said, I would highly 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 recommend uh reading slash watching it, because to me it is that good. It is elite. So much fun reading it. The last arc of the manga is genuinely insane. All the stuff that you finally learn about the world. Like, there was a section of chapters that like were kind of like a fourth wall break. Like, on some like end of Evangelion stuff. It was like true. I was like, am I reading this right now? Am I reading this right now? And it's insane. It's honestly insane. But with that being said, read and or watch it, 1,000,000%. That's gonna be enough from me, of me glazing this manga. If you like this style of video, let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, share the channel, follow the Twitch channel, follow all of my socials, and I will be seeing you guys next time.